Dan Illman and Mike Beer here at beautiful Saratoga, getting set for Belmont Stakes Saturday at the Spa. And we'll kick off the dollar pick 6 on Saturday with race number 7, the Grade 1 Ogden Phipps, going a mile and an eighth. $500,000 is the purse. Let's take a look at this field, and the big girl is back. Idiomatic has such a sensational campaign last year. Very game to win the Breeders' Cup Distaff.
Yep.
She won the La Troyenne in more workmanlike fashion than anything else, but it was her first start off the layoff. It was on a wet track, and I'm sure it was everything Brad Cox wanted to see.
I think you're probably right. The more distance I've gotten from that La Troyenne too, the more I liked that performance. She just kept finding through the stretch, and you could see her do it, Dan. She just turned everybody away and was actually getting away from those horses under the wire. Perfect first start back from the layoff. Got the 1-2 finishers from the distaff right back in here. They both want to be forward.
Pretty Mischievous is also in this race, and this is a horse that ran okay off the layoff last time out against older fillies. Kind of a key race for her. She's got to prove now that she's ready to handle these older fillies and mares.
I agree. We'll see. They're going to give her one more shot here at 9 furlongs. See if she's up for it. If she's not, you'll see her cutting back in distance.
Timeform U.S. Pace Projector coming up. You talked about the top 2 finishers in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. They're expected to be the pace setter. Randomized, breaking from the inside post under Joel Rosario. Hey, she likes to be up front. I think they're going to go with her. I think Idiomatic's going to be very happy to sit second.
Yeah.
It'll be the Breeders' Cup Distaff perhaps all over again at the half-mile pole.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, listen, I personally feel like there's another pace player in this race that we're going to get to in a minute, drawn right in post number 2 here. I can't imagine they're going to try to rate that horse. But Randomized, listen, she's been good on the lead. It's a real question mark for her. This is a pretty big race for her because obviously she was good as a 3-year-old. I thought she was a little dressed up from some of the races, really easy trips in a lot of them. Pretty disappointing off the layoff at a really short price.
She does like Saratoga, the number 1 Randomized. She won twice here last year, including the prestigious Alabama when on the lead. Beat a bad field in the Beldame in her final start prior to the Distaff. But the Distaff was kind of a weird race because it looked like everybody had a shot at the 3/16 pole, and the speeds didn't stop. So I'm not sure whether Randomized was game or nobody else really wanted to run and get him.
Yeah, that's exactly how I looked at it too, Dad. I mean, it's a really tough call, and how you're going to go about your business in this Phipps this year probably depends a lot on how you viewed that Breeders' Cup Distaff. I didn't like it. It felt like that race was wide open. They were crawling home, but nobody could catch the 1-2 finishes in there. I don't want to knock Randomized too much, Dan, especially if that morning line's close to her, because that's a good price on her. I'm not sold on her. And again, go ahead and talk about her start off the left if you have anything to add to it. She was pretty bad in there.
She wasn't good. I mean, she's 1-2, and I know the horse that beat her is back in here and just might be much improved.
Yeah.
But she had everything her own way on the lead. Turning for home, it looked like she couldn't lose.
Yeah.
And she just was empty the last 3/16. Now, maybe Chad was just using that race as a building block to a race like the Phipps, and she's going to run better. Let price be your guide as always. As Mike said, 6-1 is fair. Tizzy in the Sky scored in a big way in the top flight last time out. They dropped her slightly in class. She went right to the lead, and she just pounds this field in the stretch. She wins by almost 10. She earned a career best 92 by her speed figure, but she's a horse that likes to be on the lead. Can she make it?
I think she can't make it. Certainly if they want it, I think they'll probably be there. And the more you start taking apart her form, Dan, first of all, she's got a lot to prove in a race like this one against this kind of a field. But man, all of her races, the good ones in particular, are when they go and they put her on the front, and she seems to like that. She keeps going. 4 wins in her career, all in wire-to-wire fashion. You're not worried about 9 furlongs. You're worried about whether she's good enough and whether she can get the trip that she needs.
Pretty Mischievous ran well despite a very long, hard campaign last year for trainer Brendan Walsh. I mean, she never got a break between her 2-year-old and 3-year-old seasons. She won the Kentucky Oaks in game fashion, the Acorn in game fashion. The Cotillion was a race where she got wired by a decent horse from Southern California. I don't know about you. I was kind of a little bit disappointed with the way she ran that day, but then she came back in the La Troyenne off the layoff, and I'm just willing to give her that race. It was her first race back. I know it was Idiomatic's first race back. Idiomatic got the jump on her.
Yeah. I wasn't as disappointed in your Cotillion, I don't think, as you were. It wasn't a great performance, but I wasn't too disappointed in her. She fired a little bit of a shot last time in that La Troyenne, very brief at the top of the stretch, and then all of a sudden she just didn't really finish up that race, so maybe she just needed it. I'm still conflicted about whether or not this is what she wants to do, Dan. I mean, my opinion of her going into the Kentucky Oaks last year was she didn't want to go that far, and I was against her, but she ran great that day.
She certainly ran great that day. She deserves an opportunity, and maybe if the 1, the 2, and the 5 hook up early, it sets things up a lot better for her this time around. And it might set things up again for the 4 Sullivan Angel. Let's watch her win in the Ruffian last time out, where she takes the measure of Randomized. Trevor McCarthy gave her a very nice ride this day. It's not like the pace was blazing, but he saved all the ground. He crept up inside, eased out for a look. I was surprised with how easily she ran by Randomized first time Sappy Joseph.
Yeah, exactly. I was too. And she ran really well in there, and I don't want to knock her. And so the question now is, did she just improve that much? And maybe she did. Or was it a situation where it's a little bit of a mirage, that final furlong, because Randomized just really needed the race and couldn't put up any kind of a fight? I don't know the answer to the question, Dan. I think she's interested in here if she stays around the 8-1 morning line, but I don't think I'd take anything less than that.
And I think the mile and an eighth has to be a little bit of a question. I know she's won at a mile and a 16th. Was it perhaps the turn back to the mile that helped her out last time out? But she's going to be a good price, and she should get a good setup again, and maybe Sappy just figured her out. Idiomatic is up next. She won the La Troyenne last time out off the layoff. She was very comfortable tracking the lead. She made the lead in the stretch, and she had to work. It's a good first race back. No, it wasn't to the level of some of her best performances last year, but I'm sure Brad Cox didn't want to, squeeze the lemon dry in the La Troyenne.
I agree. It was also a mile and a 16th on a wet track. The added half a furlong here just works to her advantage because she goes all day long. Listen, Dan, I think it's all right there on paper for this horse. Her races are all good. She'll be forward, but again, if those 2 inside horses go to the front, she doesn't need to be on the lead. We saw it at the Breeders' Cup last year. She was content to track Randomized her on the track and ran her down at the end. She's just way the horse to beat her. She's really good.
I think she sits a good 3-wide tracking trip, makes her bid on the turn, and then it's up to one of the horses to run her down, and it could be the Raging Sea. Because this horse hinted at a lot of ability last year at 3 for Chad Brown, and here's her winner, her 4-year-old debut, the Double Dog Dare. Short stretch at Keeneland. She's just a comfortable winner first time back. She got a figure for it. She might get a setup. To me, she's the one that's blossoming right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. I love the way, too, that Chad handled her last year. I know it wasn't a long campaign, but she showed that she had quality as a 2-year-old. This took his time with her last year, let her work through her conditions. They added distance when they stretched her out. No problem for her. Her comely at the end of the year was really good. She won it in a photo, but she was really good that day. I loved her return from the layoff. It felt like the step in the direction that you wanted to see from this filly. I think she's super dangerous, not only in here, for the rest of the year.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Ogden Phipps. I believe we're kicking off the pick 6 in this race, Mike, and where you go?
I'm going to take Raging Sea in here, Dan. I liked her return from the layoff. I think this is the time to get her because Idiomatic, deservedly so, is going to be a big favorite in here. The horse to the inside, Randomized, I'm not a fan of. I don't want to use that horse. To me, it's either Idiomatic or it's Raging Sea.
I'm going to use Raging Sea in my multiples. I think she's very dangerous, and maybe I'm making a mistake going back to Sullivan Angel. I mean, last time was probably the time at $50, but it's not like she's going to be 2-1 in this race. Nope. She might be 10. I think she's going to come with a kick and outrun her odds, but I am very interested in Raging Sea once again. We'll see if Idiomatic can do it again. She's been nothing but class throughout her career, and don't sleep on Pretty Mischievous. This is a fun edition of the Grade 1 Ogden Phipps. Good luck.